So my name is Martin Buckland. I manage and advance the careers of senior executives across the world. Manage and advance the careers of executive MBAs, EMBAs, and I'm also a global expert in the mining profession. So I work with a lot of mining leaders and mining professionals actually in the mines, the geologists, the volcanologists, and whatever, every week. I love what I do. I actually have the best job in the world, but you can have the second best job. So today the topic is, what questions should I ask during an interview? You are almost at the end of what I'm probably going to say is a very frustrating time in your life. I've been in business now 26 years and I haven't really met a person who really enjoys a job search. It has its ups, has its downs, frustration galore, mind mapping. People don't want to be in this situation. But sadly, because where we are in the world, the global economy right now, so many millions across the world are here in this position, a job search. But the interview is getting towards the end. You are so close to getting there. You need to win. The way you're going to win is to perform and resonate and seduce the interviewers. So you either get called for the second or the third interview, or you get that job offer. So before you enter the interview, research that company, research that employer, do a lot of background work, network with people who aren't in the function where you're going to go, elsewhere in the company, and ask them about the corporate culture, ask them about the company, the products, the services. It's a two-way street. The interview isn't just them asking you. You need to open it up and ask them questions. So be prepared. Here are some of the questions. I've listed 12 questions that I think, as an expert, you should ask in the interview. So number one, expand on the role and the responsibilities of the job you are interviewing for. So allow them to open up and talk about that particular role, that particular responsibilities. So you're starting to build dialogue. You've probably already done your homework. Well, hopefully you've already done your homework. You know the roles and responsibilities, but you want to articulate them and you want to question them on it. So remember, two-way dialogue. Number two, what would you like me to achieve in the first 90 days? What would you like me, remember, it's you. You're putting as if you are in the job. What would you like me to achieve in the first 90 days? You are injecting a lot of positivity that you are the perfect candidate and you want that particular job. So what would you like me to achieve in the first 90 days? I suspect a lot of the other candidates who are going through the same process, the same interviewing process, won't be as forceful as that. What would you like me to do in the first 90 days? Number three, how is my performance going to be measured? So here again, you are assuming that you are the number one candidate and you are going to get that job offer. Put yourself in the driver's seat. You want to win. This is your opportunity to win. So how is my performance going to be measured? So you are putting yourself already sitting in that seat where they have a role for you. Number 4, what is the career path for my skills and ambitions? I bet many of the interviewers will be put on the spot with this question. It will make them think a little bit more, a little bit deeper. And if they can't answer it in the interview, then they can get back to you. But put them on the spot too, because as I said earlier on, this is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street coming this way. It's both ways. It's a dialogue. It's a conversation between two people or maybe four people on an interview and you, the interviewee. So open up the conversation. It makes you feel and them feel a lot more warm or even hot in the interview. It makes you want to be the hot candidate. That's what you want to do. Your goal in the whole job search is to win. There is only a trophy for number 1. There's no trophy for number 2 or number 3. You don't get the silver or the bronze. There is only one gold. And this is your chance, now you're in the interview, to win. Number 5, what do employees like about working here? So here again, you're opening up dialogue. Some of them may have been there for a long time. Some of them may have been there for such a short time. If it's an interviewer who's been there a year, they might not be able to share too much. But what do employees like about working here? That's a good question. That is a very, very probing question, because they're going to probe you because they want to find out a lot about you. Now you need to probe them. Don't be frightened. I know an interview is a scary event. Not too many people enjoy the interview. In fact, I can count on one hand maybe people who like interviewing. It's scary because there is a lot at stake. But the more warm you are, or the hotter you are, the closer you are to becoming that candidate of choice and getting that job offer. Number 6, what changes are happening after COVID? So we are in the middle of the world's worst pandemic in living memory, and all companies across the world are having to restructure, change a lot. So talk about that. It's very topical. So what changes are happening after COVID? Ask them that. Then this is a very leading question, and I ask this because a couple of my clients have got themselves into situations where they have moved at the permission of their employer during COVID, and then for various reasons they were terminated, and now they're back into the job search, and 2 of them are in multiple job offers, and they've moved way out, 200-300 miles away from where their office was. And now their new employer, their potential employer, are now wanting them, when COVID hopefully dies down, keep your fingers crossed, wanting them back in the office full time, Monday to Friday. So here's a very, very leading question. Will I have to be in the office 5 days a week after COVID? Not too many people will probably think about that, but it's very topical. And you have to really give a lot of thought, and they have to give a lot of thought. They've probably discussed it as a team, how they're going to get back together in the office, in the cubicles, in the various facilities they have, and around the water cooler, where you are going to learn a lot about that company. So ask the question, will I have to be in the office 5 days a week after COVID? Interesting question, eh? Try it and see. Because here again, you are probing, and you need to know that. Because if you are living a long way away, like my two clients who are now in multiple offers, one 100, another one a couple of 100 miles away, you don't want to commute every day. It's just almost impossible. So that's a very, very fortuitous question to ask. How would you describe the corporate culture? Now, I've spoken about this in previous Tuesdays at 2. The corporate culture is very, very crucial today. And you look at companies, firms, entities who are in the same silo. The banks, for instance. I know I'm here in Canada, the 5 big banks, the 5 tier 1 banks, all have a different culture. You need to ask that culture, because what is interesting is if you can fit into that culture and you only check off in the interviewer's mind and anybody else who's going to interview you subsequently with 9 out of the 10 or even 11 points that they're looking for, but you fit into that culture, they probably will hire you. Because corporate culture today is more important than I have ever seen it. So ask this question: how would you describe the corporate culture? They might not be able to describe it, but you are being probing again. Number 9. What are the corporate values? Now, hopefully you've done your research. You know the corporate values, but you want to find out from them, the interviewer or the panel, exactly what the corporate values, the mission, whatever they call it. Ask them about it, and then you can have a discussion. Because remember, the whole interview is a conversation. It's a dialogue. It's a conversation about whether you are the perfect fit for them. That's what it is. It's a conversation. Yes, it's very nerve-wracking, but make it a conversation. Number 10. Who will be my manager? Now, if you've done your research on the internet, LinkedIn in particular, and you've asked other people in the company, when you've been doing your research, you've connected with people on LinkedIn about that company and asked them about the company culture, you will have probably found out who will be your manager. And invariably, if you're just in the first interview, your manager or your potential manager might not be in the room. But the next interview, the second or even the third interview, will probably be with your manager. So who will be your manager? Who will be my manager? So you need to go onto their LinkedIn profile and have a look, because there was also a conversational point. Same with the interviewers. You need to have the interviewer's name before you go into the interview. And then you can Google them and ask them about, they may have gone to the same school, they may have gone to worked for the same company 10 or 15, 20 years ago. Number 11, how do I compare with the other candidates? Now you really are drilling down here. You are putting those interviewer or the interviewer on the spot, right on the spot. How do I compare with other candidates? That's a pretty interesting question, eh? But it's also very thought-provoking. So be prepared for a bit of push and shove in this conversation, but hopefully you'll get more positivity than you will get negativity. So how do I compare with other candidates? Number 12, do you have any other questions for me? You are putting them on the spot. That is a very, very probing question. I bet they haven't been asked that too many times. Do you, as the interviewer, have any other questions for me, the interviewee? What about that? That's a very, very thought-provoking question. So wrapping it up, the more research you do, the more confident you're going to be in the interview, because they hire confident people. They don't hire unconfident people. And the more you know about that company, the better it's going to be for you. And the more probing questions, and I've given you 12 questions that are very, very thought-provoking. And for those of you who haven't seen it, who are new or on the replay, I have this ebook for a minimum investment of $9.97 US. This is after number one. Look after number one, you. It's a book about job search, and it has a number of tips to make you look number one in COVID. So hopefully you've learned a lot about interviews. Remember, the interview is getting there. You are so close to the job offer. Remember, do me a favor and manage your career. Even if you are gainfully employed, do a little bit each day or every other day, because the economy is so volatile today. You could be terminated next week. Have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern.